Okay, here we go, 7th graders. Now, this lesson is a little intense, so there's a lot of stuff going to be happening. So let's get going. We can multiply and divide fractions. Now, in order to divide fractions, you need to know what the reciprocal is, which means we switch the numerator and denominator. So if you remember, the numerator is the top and the denominator is the bottom. So when I say switch, it's like we want to flip them. That helps you. But that's for dividing. So we're just going to start with multiplying. So when you're multiplying, you multiply across. So this is like saying 3 times 4, and this is like saying 7 times 5. 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 5 is 35. I look and I say, is there anything I can reduce or simplify? 2, no. 3, no. 4, no. There is not. So 12/35 is all we can do. Now, for this one, there's 2 ways to solve it. So we're going to solve it 2 different ways. First step is to do it exactly how we did it before. Multiply my numerators, multiply my denominators. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. 6 times 3 is 18. But this I can simplify. I've got some like terms. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2 and get negative 5/9. Now that's the first way to solve it. The second way to solve it, I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 5, 6 times 2/3 is to look diagonal. Okay, so look diagonally and say, is there anything I can simplify here or anything that I can simplify here? So 5 and 3, there's nothing. However, 2 and 6, I know that I could divide 2 by 2 and get a 1, and I could divide 6 by 2 and get a 3. So now when I do my multiplication, I'm going to have much smaller numbers. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. 3 times 3 is 9. So I end up getting the same answer of negative 5/9. And that's kind of what this one is all about. So again, these both ways work, but this will save you time. So let's look diagonal and let's look diagonal. Well, hey, these are the same. So I divide them both by 9, they cancel out. And then over here I have a 5 and a 15, so if I divide by 5 I get negative 1. If I divide by 5 I get a 3. So I have 1 times negative 1, 3 times 1, negative 1/3. I strongly recommend you do this simplifying because it makes it much quicker. There's another way we could have simplified this, okay, is if I just look at this example right here. I say, hey, they both have factors of 3. So I could say divide by 3, divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5/3 times negative 5/9, negative 15/45. But I still end up having to simplify at the end. So if you see that, you can do it. Okay, if you see that there's something like that, that just means it's not a simplified fraction. But I strongly recommend you look diagonally. So of course, y and 11 don't have anything in common. I have no clue what y is. But I do see 8 and 4. So I know that they both have factors of 4. So if I divide it by a 4, it's a 2. Let's get a different color. So if I divide this by 4, it's going to equal 2. If I divide this by 4, it's going to equal 1. So when I multiply across, I get y. Y times 2 over 1 times 11. Always put the coefficient first. 2y over 11. And we can't simplify anymore. Okay, Central Park is a rectangle. It is approximately 2.5 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. So if I draw something like this, 2.5 miles, 2.5 miles, 1.5, 1.5. What is the area of Central Park? Well, the area is length times width. So 2.5 times 1.5. Now, I think I want to turn this into a mixed number or an improper fraction. So again, my trick, multiply the denominator, add the numerator. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 over 2 times 1/2, 5 times 1 over 2 times 2, 5 over 4. And now I got to think, how many times does 4 go into 5? That's 1. So this is going to equal 1 1/4. All right, so dividing fractions, the thing you need to think about is multiply by the reciprocal. And so what that means is I'm going to change my division sign to multiply, and I'm going to flip my second number. But there's a fancy way that we remember this. It's called keep, change, and then flip at the end. Keep, change, flip. So I am going to keep my first number the same, 2/9. I'm going to change division to multiply, and then I'm going to flip 2 and 5 so that it's 5 over 2. Now when I look diagonally, I see, hey, I've got a 2 and a 2 here, so I know I can simplify. 2 divided by 2 is just going to cancel out. It's going to be left with a 1. So we have 1 times 5 over 9 times 1, which equals 5/9. Keep, change, flip, but the mathematical term is multiply by the reciprocal. So, keep, change, and flip. Keep my first term the same, x over 3, change division to multiply, and flip 4 and x. So once again, when I look like a diagonal, I see I've got x divided by x. Well, x divided by x is going to cancel each other out. So this is just a 1. So 1 times 4 over 3 times 1 gives me 4/3, which is going to equal 1 1/3. We don't want to leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, so again, a couple ways to do this. I would recommend turning it into an improper fraction. So 1 times 4 plus 3. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 equals 7. So this is like saying 7/4. -2 times 8 is, well, let's do the negative later. So 2 times 8 is 16, plus 5 is 21. So this is going to be -21 over 8. So I'm going to keep, change, flip, keep 7/4, change division to multiply, and flip 8 over 21. We're going to look diagonal. (7 and 21) both have a factor of 7. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 3. 8 and 4 can be divided by 4. They both have factors of 4. This is going to be a -2. So when we go to multiply, it's much easier with these small numbers. 1 times -2 Negative 2, 1 times 3 is 3. So turn them into improper fractions first, then do multiply by the reciprocal, which we remember as keep, change, flip. Look diagonally to simplify, and you get your final answer.